Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Showed you Claare na Gael as Bavaliam Shuishaltacha. Hello and welcome to this programme which is called Claare na Gael. I'm Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert Cuttina Carslach.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
In Claare na Gael we'll have pieces in the English language as be Pishanelia and Sahilg, and we'll have other pieces in the Manx Gaelic, Chinyan Amera, the mother tongue of Vane, the Isle of Man. As Barachta and Jurish, we come to Chapter 4 of David Robertson's account of his tour of the Isle of Man in 1791. His chapter heading for this is Views of Society in Douglas. Propensity of the inferior classes, guess who they may be, propensity of the inferior classes to gambling. The theatre. Prejudices of the native. Prodigality of the English. An affecting story. Tan fairly John Seward as nolw van Helsing ons cordeel de wel fame cor fúl gus Lucy Westenra. Hig shen vai John Seward, ach, chaus dat jyn werlu, ta cranker a doris. As shen honor royal Arthur Holmwood ton, fiance Lucy. We'll enjoy music from or associated with the island throughout the programme this time, and we start with one of the oldest sets of lyrics, the traditional tale of Finn as Oshin. Tashu geistjach rish radio Vane, stasiwn rasiwn viscoller sceliena wostulish, Ellen Vane.
Hi Finn as Oshin, machte jaug, train us more the young. Fa la 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 la. Harawan danya sluna key. Fa la la. Na feeden gosh hayat mach falala falala Tushloas konte jinne krach falala la 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 Koi deke deke taya khari beg falala la 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 Dutni in Oshin kjabe jay falala falala Yesh wat de ging chan gesachle falala la 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 As for me jog has have you fell la 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 la. Custavias Garias fall la fall la. Tredenis mora yes fall la 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 la. Lumal at mina at destroy fall la 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 la. Fagak bryrer He isn't dying, this fa la 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 la. Moon's rain and time of he and her gay back, who was sellers fa la 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 la. Ish chili finagalash cornet strong, fa la la la. Have a bag of china, talt and the dome, fa la 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 la. Ba
Ruth KEGGIN singing about Finn as Oshin. Douglas, says David Robertson, from its trade and commerce, and here he includes a footnote. As Douglas is the principal port of the island, I intend to give an ample account of its present trade and commerce after the topographical department of the work. So, says David Robertson, Douglas from its trade and commerce is the most important town in the island, and its inhabitants, from their intercourse with strangers, the most polished in their manners. But Douglas is not only the chief seat of commerce, it's also the principal residence of the English. Officers on half pay and gentlemen of small fortunes resort hither, invited by the abundance of the necessaries and the easy access to the luxuries of life. Besides these, there are several decayed merchants who've sought shelter here from the persecution of unrelenting creditors. That's people they owe money to, but they're not going to pay up. And yet it's the persecution of unrelenting creditors instead of their... Anyway, that's beside the point. Again, there's a footnote here. The Isle of Man is universally accounted an asylum to those who have contracted debts during their residence in Britain or Ireland. Well, seo gas Gael and fairly Seward. Ren Arthur sairige dau, as Garee on Sanish Gian, Jack, van mi goim neach, ren mi liai ederlinjig in de skriwen, as de angesher ve arm. Van mi yishig na share, maar so ren mi rai shiske saw de yin me han heen. Nach nee en dun je ser shaw en fairly van Helsing, tam mi op wisselt het meisjes on jet. Treva shilje en alle jit hoyacht ver korriege, a vrishest jaage gliedig rij. Ach, nish, gaus ve Jean a gorp trammelt, as ver ennegge a tarre, maar dunje ledger, ver Jean de line magas, renne goelien lanrige. Gin leeste, door te rish de tromgoesach, gaus gine mage lau. Wijnsje, tower jit ons trei. Tauwes graiden in innerwien, 2 maal, 4 eerbal. Geneem feitje, na gin goil ors me sen. Son henke daltajem, de we glas, as high as she ons care, as bonus tujem neil. Now this is a song published in 1919. The song published in 1919, words and music by Hayden Wood. I love your eyes of grey.
Since first we met, life seems to me all new. For skies of grey have turned to skies of blue. Summers high above sing to me of you and love. The flowers all seem to smile because of you. I love your eyes of grey, I love your smile. The things they seem to say make life worthwhile. All else that life may hold, I never miss. You make my lonely world just one lone dream of bliss. Each day you make me love you more and more. There's something just about you I adore. And the love light in your eyes makes my world a paradise. I before. I love your eyes of grey, I love your smile, the things they seem to say make life worthwhile. All else that life may hold I never miss. You make my lonely world just one long dream of bliss.
Baritone SHAE APLAND and Sharon Whishart on piano with a piece which the words and music were both supplied by Hayden Wood. I Love Your Eyes of Grey. Ta was de choonalí, for the just ginu na smú na fair of bee vis bio, a shade of creacht and coona shared. Grey fodum ginu, vry Arthur de Fiachénach. Instau, as nieme, a vio as SHAE as yinnen cor G bind jerinach a fall as a chorp emerson. Ta chow firatjeg an olu as dat mi vai shan tustje cor en a bunje sa fregerdegge. Ma wains je reg. Genel mi shira orts on huish as shen, gene an bind jerinach. Crevis je reyinoem. Va ail ons a hoolien as van tolstron a forgetegge as crowles genid. Hug van Helsing badag day a gulen. Taro dorte, she dunje us as ta shin fame dunje. Ta was na share na mish, na share na machara John. Va Arthur gien de vei a Sharon, as haie nolu ljorish salje gemach ons aak kinjel, tan inne egg ons stedolk vierolk, te fame fool, as sign ye gedden fool, ne gedden bes. This footnote continues now. And presuming on this is the fact that the Isle of Man is universally accounted an asylum for debtors in Britain and Ireland, some have fled hither and defrauded their creditors. But at present there is no law existing in this island which protects a debtor from the prosecution of his creditor when the debt is sufficiently proved. Well, this was a legal situation which continued until Tynwald made the Overseas Debts Act of 1814, and so although David Robertson describes the English influence on Douglas of half-pay officers and gentlemen of small fortunes taking advantage of a lower cost of living, that's a sign of the times, eh? There are also these debtors, and he says, these live in retirement and seldom mingle with their more independent countrymen. To the society of the English, Douglas is considerably indebted. They've given life and gaiety to the town and have contributed to polish the manners of the natives. And that's A.D. Evans and Rowley Drower as the Sulby Phantom Band improvising on a piece called Spooyt Vane.
Manx Radio.
Siodiw stasiwn yn asiwn radio Vane, as yn siod asiw geisdiach rys Claare na Gael. SHAE Robert Cutting Carswell Robert a Carslach mata.
Ever heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Convivial societies, assemblies and card parties are now frequent among the higher circles of Douglas. Whist is their favourite game, and they seldom play high. Cards are, however, introduced on every occasion, and generally accompanied with a plenitude of excellent wines. Among the inferior classes, gaming is far more pernicious. Inebriation is here its constant attendant. The taverns are nightly filled with tradesmen, who, on the chance of a card, a die, or a billiard ball, will hazard their last farthing. Well, I was wondering about billiards. I thought it was something that came in, perhaps popular in India and brought back. But no, it actually dates back to the 1300s, was originally played on the ground, a bit like croquet, apparently. And in Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, Cleopatra says to her attendant, Charmian, "Let's to billiards." So there we are in Shakespeare. And then in the late 1400s, the French court developed it as a table game. Mary, Queen of Scots, who was, of course, married to the Dauphin for a short time before he died, she was upset when her jailers took her billiard table away. Well, actually, they used the cloth of it later, the cloth from the billiard table, to wrap her body in. Tamachara John as mish a chor corline cújach, as tashin chi ginu na tashin greirish, coch lay faller. De chor vai cushlian ledden a derre ye, gus cushlian follum a jaelia, vi shimla son. Vi fo John cor a fuelegge, son te eschen the says na stroshin the mish. On shaw, gauw arter me lauwes rinne krei de ledger on starstig. Ach, nish ta wuss on shaw, ta wuss na share na shingen, shan na egg, ta leberach rauwere tail de smunjen. Genel na nerigen ein gekune, as genel de voerlein gegjal, as shen eds. Hien day arthur day as doorte. De rauwig vised kreeg om manre, jiddens gedden bes son, jinne goed tikkel. Renne square vai, le sors de hochte se gereige. Jelje mai, doet van Helsing. Se treine wel vader git, bios manre de velu en jinne wolju son, as de graie dorri. Tarnish as be de horse. Nieuw cor pegji ungeert, rosh me visse jint. And the music for this next song is by Nikolai Giovanelli, with words by Mona Douglas, Ashlyn Nacheen, a Sea Vision, sung by Kate DOWMAN, with Chris CRAKER on synthesizer.
No.
Kate DOWMAN, accompanied by Chris CRAKER, Ashlyn the Chin, a sea vision. Lug shen esh sign dut gull, a sign dut figale tret am I corcawr dut. Nach aber vogel rische beneinstjer, te visse der nacht mor te ex, geneiden de grain veon, weg visser be a saw, mazen. Tarod. Heisje nulju sus gus shamer Lucy. Renata, Resera, Tannacht and Chaumui. Hindel Lucy a kiaull as yichi oren, a gedoorti weg. Geraui na kadla, ach de firnjach vi ro fes de yino en abe. Ren de suljenek lotrun, vishen ulju. Gauw van Helsing kuste nichen as a foga, as hugge het nin jai boer beg as shilja. Esh, renne mester drugge kadli. As lug de chitkas al jabi, dorte de ginnel, nish esh in de weg, shaw de vedshin. You shise, mor peche mai. Jich, tammy truggle susu, de wadu slugge shise de heshach. SHAE. Huggy bears, henkel ye. Vi kor yindes orm en tres on a drugge de yinnawori. The Douglas taverns in 1791 included billiards as well as cards and dice games which people bet on. But, says David Robertson, when carried to this success, gaming is highly criminal. The mind, infatuated with play, becomes blind to every danger, regardless of every duty, and callous to every attachment. The gamester not only rushes on precipitately to his own ruin, he frequently involves the innocent therein. And how greatly must it heighten his distress to reflect that by this infatuation to play he may have reduced a virtuous wife and late flourishing family to misery. Yet, in Douglas, there are some awful monuments of this wretchedness. Although the liberal arts have few votaries here, a neat theatre has been erected by Captain Tennyson, with the benevolent design of contributing to the relief of the poor. Well, we heard a mention of Captain Tennyson's theatre when we were looking at the visit to the island in 1795 by the actor Samuel William Romney, under the pen name Riley. Well, we just heard lyrics by Mona Douglas. Here's a song about her from the Mona's Isle project, written by Annie Kissack. Here Annie plays the piano and the song is sung by Greg JOUGHIN.
When Mona Douglas was living alone in a little grey house on the highland, there were stories till you're gonna tellin' on us how the leck wasn't heard on the island. But Mona Douglas has gone to her rest. The house is all gone, not a gravestone is left. And Mona, your absence has left us bereft, and the fairies have fled to the west. She'd be telling the fairies and witches and all, and there would be dancing and singing. Her dances were mighty, and into the night we'd go with our senses a-ringing. But Mona Douglas has gone to her rest, and her ginses are gone with her too. But there's other ones singing, you choose to be sure, in the mansion now raised on a broom. Douglas is over the seas, but there's one say the fairies go pining on the height of Ballarrick with the wind in her hair, a sobbing and keeking and sighing, like wishing her back from her journey again. For Mona was friends with her more, but she's riding magnificent out on the waves, and she'll never be hearing them call.
Mona always pronounced the name of her house at Ballarach as Thie na Garee, and that was the title of Annie Kissack's song, performed by Greg JOUGHIN and the Mona's Isle Project, live there at the Centenary Centre in Peel. Well, David Robertson mentions Captain Tennyson. This was a military captain, William Barton Tennyson, originally from Ireland, who'd been High Sheriff and a Justice of the Peace in Monaghan. But he married Margaret Cushnahan. However, he died at only 50 years of age, round about this time of year, in fact the 21st of December in 1793. He it was who's responsible for what Robertson describes as a neat theatre in Douglas. But, he continues, from the penury of dramatic genius in this country, his charitable intentions have been hitherto frustrated. And appearance has lately shown that here the admirers of the drama are too inconsiderable to support even for a few weeks a regular company. The harmony of society in Douglas is sometimes marred by mutual prejudices. In many of the natives, a show of politeness and hospitality, there is a secret aversion to strangers, and in several of the English, an unreasonable contempt of the Manx. Renshaw the Jaru, Cowracha mach Roshnus and a Nunajek. Van tre Jean de Vegin Jerra, der a Gausa Bien Toyach de Wike ons na Farboljenek. Ach verjere, gauwe drugge Karli de Heisige mach in Jart, as Hutchi na Karle de Trom. Tre van Alluj in Boejach, huggie mer Arthur de Hitsjachse Chamber, as Dorde de Gorje goed. Esh doortenies, ta kid dot cor onfeig shen, gouds tammy cor lesje woer harish. Machara John, Koenliam. Me saw her en fer erbijin jean gouds rene chrome she's Harry. Hinde van Helsing da was doorte. Te go eig as go leidje as go glen ten voelegge, ne wel fe mine schiele mach fiber in asji. Ech, Esh les Spooyt, ach les 6 jaru, ren van Helsing Coolina en Obreid. Gouds van Cachlei volle Golair bij Jean de denk riddenach gurish biois ash ons liegenen Lucy Wach. heard Ruth KEGGIN earlier, and this year saw the release of an album, Lothan, with Rachel Hare, and that was Rachel with some Jigs for Mann, finishing there with the traditional Takashin na Shulgas and Erga.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Stasiwn yn asiwn sy'n the jarw Radio Vane. Se Claare na Gael viscol sgiliene getreton, mish Robert Cutin Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Through Bernard Arthur, for Bishicha, ve Jean drau bog a sail Shane mach. Look tameld, gami toicht chit de ve neach, son va call followed Gino Arthur, dun je leger maar ve. Hugge dau ai a chenne daglach va Gino genaurus corp Lucy. Nach ren Shen, ren fes Arthur, cor uri chaurelach ons peurt. Ach, va edin an allu sight. As venig jadu is een oerde egge ons lau, as lest een soelien egge girit, nish een sorrensach, as nish Arthur. Tot be clash en bulje grie en pien. Look tamelt beg, doorte ons corée bog. Na be borretje chorer be shendeloer. Gau kereel Jason, gauwem kereel Gies. Trev all you jintus herish, dat me fagen chwish as we Arthur jint fes. Hug me kiaull a lot, as gau me graham a raiege de chorlesher soule. Tre Lord van Helsing, ginchin dem a geert, te jin de wel soulien ege dunyer coole king. Let's hear more about this prejudice that exists between the English and the Manx in Douglas. The one is deemed too shrewd and selfish, and the other too prodigal. The Manxman has been accused of seeking interest with insatiable avidity in all his pursuits, and the Englishman, with much justice, has been upbraided with sacrificing every object to present enjoyment, while these prejudices are frequently heightened by the thoughtless prodigality of the stranger involving him in debt to the native, and thereby subjecting him to the incivilities of an importunate creditor. Again, it always seems to be the creditors who are the wrong-uns in this case. People run up debts and they're not expected to ask them for the money. Anyway, many of the English gentlemen resident here are more acquainted with convivial enjoyments than with the pleasures of retirement. They are more bon vivants than penserosos. Accordingly, the festive entertainments of the English are numerous and splendid, while each studies to emulate the other by the sumptuousness or delicacy of his table, and the variety and profusion of his wines. Jordan Brian Maxdowell has take oil in a rain suri.
Flesh suri ons a kiaull an vennig Vane malai. Ach siúil ons a darachis gan fagan en retai. Vaiden golgos nonjagan as krankel shiren trail. A flaga yiljaram as malegan an gaskiel. O shemail jaur kiauri tamiru kiau. Ma jadu eg nonjagan der Vane krau. Mach as een jes vier vlugges draget ledden de leg. Ach leeën en gerote, de wakken spennek waaiig. Een osterij jeme hals meeglen snaggerie. Een kragen jeme jonten boler de glas jamoy. Greme grij as me gerejach, nisch lega so misjach. Dan jouwen zag een oortje, dat je zegt wil ik nog. Vouwrood was je onje, vouwrood tamie de grij. Had je hem liggen stjachko, te vis hem ser na sjer. Met een abeltouw als de wel kormidje. San rio van mis monjachten, reos weeg marij. O, de brech gelje, heb je mods aan bedden. En el mi golle fuze, me het niet zien we sim. a choggy eshin ilye gori, as hengi nos machwil, lesh pegach an hograiach, mar sharen shin mi jail.
Brian Maxdole singing about courting in the winter time, Suri onse yaura. But this prodigality of the English frequently exceeding their income becomes highly culpable. It injures the natives. It affects the credit of other strangers, and often precipitates themselves into the deepest distress. Omitting many recent instances of this, I shall select one which happened some years ago, as it was attended with a circumstance peculiarly affecting. A captain was a gallant veteran who had suffered and bled for his country in the wilds of America. Having there distinguished himself by cool intrepidity, at the close of that unfortunate war he returned with the troops to England, where he was soon afterwards reduced to half pay. With this pittance he retired to Douglas. His daughter, a young, beautiful and accomplished woman, attended him. Her beauty was softened by a pensive melancholy, arising from the perfidy of a wretch who, under the most sacred vows, had violated her honour. Tan graide Donal liam toilchin peg elia, be egg in the shine. As no drawe a chor cion nish no vredege, renny ciartige chlusia gus cion a hornsach. Chas fe John Shen van bon de kiel du velvet, vi riu gin de chaum giet a scornach ek, cionneltrish shan vogel diamond, hug a graide tarnet soespeggen, as renny salge gemach, gron jurg a scornach. Renat goil taas de ach, dat mi clashen tassen douwen de enel, tarnet stjach, te ver achten te van Helsing bra enjachten. Haar doet wege getrei shen. Ach, gin dee douw. Doorte nis. Gammelishel doorte nish corle schisse graide egg don line, cor de fin port, as lig de lai schiesrisch tammelt. Sein de esch golde valias goil fee, Carle de moers giepaltje, de voddy troggle soesrisch shen te a chor gusse grai. Geneiden de tannachten on shaw. That's the sound of Mactullach Vane. We normally hear them at the start of the programme rather than at the end of the programme. Furry achris shalid. Fodum tickle bainste de velu burrit mechion an airtis. Esh, cor leis murt ons de cholio acht de denke leis an obreid. Tawus hawele bioes a chircho, as fuddy u gul Thie as Gael fe eishach. San aigne, as Gael fe eishach san aigne ed, de velulju oddus a ve, shen morte. Ni minsti ulju treti sledden. Chabiish graiach ord weg na sluice on the bajinted. Sledniat. And so the captain and his daughter, on their arrival, they attracted attention. He was respected for his valour, and she esteemed for her beauty. They were everywhere received with a splendid hospitality, which the pride of the gallant veteran endeavoured to return and emulate. But this profuse generosity soon exhausted his finances, and ere his next half-pay could relieve him, he was arrested and imprisoned. And I'm afraid there we shall have to leave him over the Christmas period. An oed fel sienne was Claare na Gael a chirt seo. Chris Pearson will be here very shortly to present 2 hours of the best in chill-out music from 7 to 9 o'clock, and then Judith Leigh will be here to carry you into the early hours of Monday morning. Claare na Gael will be back in a fortnight on the 1st of January. So until then, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Bobby Bob.
Shannon Dunya. Wishing you a very good night, Eve. I'm a Creeriu as Orsilier, as my Yerian shared you.
Mullick Ganalariu, as Blaine Feevai. Sail as slent on Cliddle look Thie. Be as Ganalas o Bliora Kelia. She as Grey at the Marine as Dania. Could as Cowran, stock as store. Pulcher for des as Scadan the Lord. Aaron as Kersha, Eam as Rot, Best Merluch, ons all in the salt. Cardless Sausha, Tervishu na Lai, as fecal a Jurgen nach be the mai.